How many chainsaws does a person need? The answer is always one more. And on today's episode of It's Not a Hoarding Problem If You Actually Use It, this old $10 swap meet saw maybe gets a second chance at life. So this saw, this came from the swap meet a few years back, and as you can see, it's a legit Stihl. And you could consider it a steal of a price. I want to say it was 10 bucks. Don't think I would have paid more than 15 or 20 bucks for it, but pretty sure it cost me a Hamilton. Now the reason it was so cheap, it's missing a part or two. But what it lacks in accessories, it makes up for with compression. Well, the compression button's stuck on, but just trust me, it had good compression. Might have a few screws loose. But I run these 026s, got a couple other ones in the fleet, and they're great little saws. Lightweight, decent power for their size. So even at worst case scenario, it's going to have some extra parts here. But as usual, sometimes the parts machines end up becoming projects themselves. And, well, who doesn't want another extra saw? Somebody already put a brand new plug in this thing. Sweet.
That thing got a hammy.
Alright, see if it's got any spark. Well, it was enough to turn on the light there. So likely this is going to become one of the beater saws that you throw in the back of the truck and haul around. Don't want to put too much money into it. Hopefully nobody ever tries to steal it out of the back. So we went with the most top quality import carburetor kit. I mean, I normally like to rebuild them, but you know, when it's missing completely, you gotta get something. Oh yeah, adjustable mixture screws. Really glad China doesn't care about the EPA. And they do make reproduction plastic pieces and stuff here, but not really sure want to make that investment until this thing actually is up and running. Oh, that muffler's got to get modified. So the fuel lines that came with the kit aren't correct. So just sprayed down the old hard brittle ones with some PB Blaster. We'll try and revive them. Got to save that gasket on the cap too. Had to reform the kill switch circuit. And also notice that we're missing the vent fitting there. Might end up using the wrong parts after all. PB Blaster didn't save this one. Well, that's close enough. Want to make sure to leave all that extra sawdust grime in there to seal up and soak any gas that leaks into there. Oh, that's fine. You just jam that down underneath the air filter when it goes on. Now the next thing is, well, there's a whole lot of pieces missing here. Spring-loaded trigger. There's supposed to be a safety button on top, plastic cover, and a linkage going from the throttle lever up to the carburetor. We've got none of that. Don't really feel like buying it either. What we do have is a piece of scrap aluminum, and I'm sure we could dig up a paper clip from somewhere. So this thing's about perfect. We'll just sort of slide that in there like that, bend it, form it to fit, a little bit of electrical tape. Oh yeah, good as new. Alright, so we just got it wedged in there like that. It sort of seats up here against the plastic, and it keeps the trigger from going back too far. And it'll also hold the spring captive here for tension on the trigger. A little bit of speed tape does the job. Well, that's not quite speed tape. Paperclip wasn't quite holding things together. So we had to bump it up to some mechanics wire. Just sort of dog-legged it down under the filter and made a little S hook on the end, and well, we'll see how long that holds. Yeah, mostly works. Got to figure out a temporary tank vent there. Now apparently these things have like multiple different variations of tank vent for the 026. Half of them are probably discontinued. Can't figure out which one's which. Depends on the serial number, when it was made. Yeah, can't pay for that. And it doesn't even have the one-way rubber check valve in there. We're just going to have to make something work here. First stop is going to be the miscellaneous chainsaw bits and pieces. Well, there wasn't a vent in the pile. However, we did find an old fuel filter and a piece of fuel line that was able to jam down in there. And it kind of is sealing itself. And we're just going to hope that that keeps most of the gas out. In. Keep the gas in. Alright, almost time to fire this thing up. But before we do, we got to get that muffler modded out here. Because if the neighbors don't know you got your new chainsaw working, was it even worth it? Wow, that piston isn't even that bad. We'll be sure to put the spark arrestor screen back in. Might go consult the interwebs, but pretty sure you just drill another hole above and below the existing one. Might have went a little bit oversized, but that was the only drill bit that was sharp. Got some fresh high octane in there. Freshly siphoned out of one of the sleds from grass drags. Time to see if this thing will pop. Choke seems to work. Compression relief is on. Probably crank it like 80 times. Well, that was almost too easy. Kill switch works. Don't impale yourself with the screwdriver. Gotta put a bar in this thing. Well, we found this bar literally sitting on the ground underneath of a pile of parts. As you can see, it's gathering some moisture, and even though it looks to be new, it's got a little bit of patina on there. Looks like an 18-inch bar, and also just happened to have sitting in the pile an old 18-inch chain. I think I actually got this off of Jethro's garage when he was clearing out stuff. So, of course, I just put it in my pile. I mean, it says Stihl. Unfortunately, the slot's not wide enough. The adjuster bolt doesn't line up, and, well, the oiler's not going to work either. Strike three. Back to inventory you go. Well, we just hit the jackpot now. Was going through the pile of saws and found all the leftovers from the old 029 project where it got converted into a chop saw. Well, it's actually a winch now. But we got the cover, bar, and a chain. Although I got a bunch of 16-inch chains laying around, so should be able to find something sharp. Give the chain a quick rehab. So the original nuts are still on the other saw, but a couple of the nuts off of a Rotax engine, those will work just fine. Got a few laying around. Needs a little bit of bar and chain oil. Well, overall, the thing runs pretty good so far. I don't like that popping though. So I'm going to pull that plug, see what that looks like. Maybe have to put a different one in there. That thing maybe is too hot. It's kind of odd. Tweaking the fuel mixture didn't really help much. It still kind of had that pop on the top end. Other than that, cut pretty good. Was a bit concerned at the beginning of this testing phase because it wasn't getting oil to the chain. We had to use the manual operation. But after a few cuts, it started kicking in and, well, it seems to be oiling good now. Turns out there's actually an even smaller vent hole right there. Gonna have to weld that shut. Made sure the tank is drained and dried out. And then just take your soldering welder and we're gonna steal a little bit of plastic from the top here, melt it up, and then push it down onto the offending leak. I'm gonna put it down into there. Also ended up getting one of these really cheap import air filter covers back here. So working good enough for now. Had to also get a slightly different style breather there. This is one of those generic ones. You got a 5-pack for a few bucks, but it's smaller. The old fuel filter was sticking up too much and it wouldn't clear when that cover went on. Put in a different spark plug and actually gapped it down to like 15 or 20. The one that was in there was quite a bit larger. So so far it seems to be running good. We'll run it hard and see if it ever starts popping again like that. But other than that, it seems to run good and run strong.